Good evening, my friends, and welcome to the next episode of Zelda. Last time out, we started getting more of the Triforce charts. We got one Triforce chart from over here on the right-hand side in not Thorn Fairy Island, Bird's Peak Rock. We've had a go at the private oasis. We can't find the chart there. We need to have a real look around. There are some more charts to get over on the west-hand side of the map. But first, though, we're going to try and do these Deku shrubs. Last time we discovered that you need to do all 8 shrubs at the same time, in fact. Now, if we just do a little bit of planning. Right, we're going to do a little bit of planning just to pick a route. Right. Now, let's have a little look. Now, where is our fast travel points? So we obviously need to start at the Forest Haven, and then from the Forest Haven I think we're going to go east, then cut back across ourselves back to the private oasis, then go north to the Eastern Fairy Island. That's 3. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. Right. Then fast travel back to Outset Island, and then we're going to cut a line straight north, right? From Outset Island, going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, ending on Star Island. Okay, let's make that the route. Not that I think the time is going to be particularly tight, just more the case that I just want to save a little bit of time on the recording, to be honest, because I don't think the 20-minute time is going to be tight. I reckon it's just going to be a lot of sailing, and if I do it in a somewhat efficient way, it'll be less likely that you guys will feel inclined to need to comment to tell me that I didn't do it very quickly. Okay, let's go. Zelda, of course, no stranger to timed trials at all, right? Like there was in Ocarina of Time, you've got the horse race, where you're trying to make it back to the entrance of the Kokiri Forest in under a minute, is it? I don't know. Or maybe you're only just trying to do your personal best on that one each time. I can't quite remember. I mean, of course, the absolute legendary one, the one that goes down in infamy, is the Final Fantasy X legendary weapon, right? Tidus's legendary weapon, which requires you to get an overall time on the race of 0.0 or less, right? And so there's basically, well, I'll explain it. I'll explain it once we're on the road. Okay, tip this out. Great. Now we're immediately going to go east, yeah? Which is actually the one where we've got to go through that little dungeon. So good thing we've done that recently, so we know like what we're supposed to be doing with it. Spose does. Sounds like someone's got a case of the Spose does. Now, I'm pretty sure we've seen all the sapling trees. I don't think any of them are in a particularly hard place to get to. except the one in the directly east here. So yeah, so Final Fantasy X, there was like a big challenge for each of the ultimate weapons, and every character has ultimate weapons. Probably I would say the most tedious one. Oh, and also ultimate limit breaks as well and things. I would say probably the most tedious one was Whackers. Like, people say Lulu's, dodge 200 lightning bolts. I actually didn't find that one so bad, right? It requires a lot of concentration for a long period of time. And yeah, it sucks when you lose concentration and you have to start again. But dodging 200 lightning bolts, I didn't find was like the most tedious thing. Whackers I probably found the most tedious, because with Whackers you have to play like an entire season of Blitzball, and Blitzball, right, controversial opinion incoming, is not a very good minigame. Right, to be honest. I might catch heat for saying that, but like, it's true, guys. It's true. It's not that great. Maybe it was great. Maybe it was good in 2002 when that game came out. Yeah, I don't know. I have tried playing that recently, and it doesn't exactly hold up. Anyway. Concentrating here a little bit, so I don't want to mess it up, because we are a little bit on it. I mean, shouldn't rush, right? Yeah, no need for the thing there. Nice. Get into the thing. Most of this is just going to involve sailing. Most of this is just going to involve sailing. Most of these are not going to involve a dungeon. Good. My work here is done. Right, which side is my boat on? There it is. Right, we are one down. We're going to set directly east, because it's only slightly off directly east, this one. Actually, no, we're gonna save ourselves part of the journey, because we can fast travel straight back to Forest Haven. So we're actually gonna set northwest, but then also fast travel it to save us part of the thing. Da 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 da. Great, on the road again. Here we go. So yeah, you have to play an entire season of Blitzball, and if you mess it up, I think you got to play a second season. And the seasons aren't even short, so you've really got to enjoy that game. If you don't enjoy that game, it's not very good. But the thing is, the game isn't even that good. The game isn't even that good. It's got some really bad exploits in it. Like, first of all, there's the eject shot, which is actually, I would say, just an exploit, essentially. It is to balance what a crowbar is to a knee. Which I believe was an old Yahtzee joke. It's also well bugged, because if you are ahead, you just need to be winning by one goal. And if you're in the second half and you have possession, just go and hang out behind your own goalkeeper. Because if you hang out behind your own goalkeeper, there's no such thing as an own goal, so don't worry about that. But if you hang out behind your own goalkeeper, they won't come up and try and tackle you. They'll just play zone. They'll just play zone defense because you have possession. So all you have to do is be one ahead. Now, that can be a risk if you do it in the first half, because obviously if you do one ahead, if you get one ahead and then you do that in the first half, and then they get possession on the kickoff, they might score and equalise, and then you've only got half the game left to get a second goal. Which shouldn't be a problem, because again, if you've got the checked shot, shouldn't be a problem. But yeah, so I just found that entire quest totally tedious. But the absolutely legendary race, as we were saying, is Tidus's Chocobo race. So the idea is that you're on a Chocobo which is barely controllable, right? It's supposed to be a wild bird though, so... Now I don't know if that's just because the controls are really janky, so it's kind of like... I don't know if that's because the controls are really janky, so they were like, oh, let's say it's like a wild bird, so you can't really control it. Or if they've intentionally just made it really hard for, like, reasons, I guess. But, yeah, so you're riding a bird which is barely controllable, and it's not as if it's like a course. It's basically a straight line you've got to run. But you've got balloons everywhere. And the balloons, if you pick them up as you zigzag along this path, they take off a couple of seconds or something. I think they take off 2 seconds each or 3 seconds each or something. But there are also birds flying at you. And the birds, they will come down and they will swoop towards you, right? And, like, from the front. And you've got to dodge the birds. And if the birds hit you, it stuns your chocobo. It doesn't cost you any time, like on the clock, but it stuns your chocobo and you stop running for about a second. And you have to complete this course in 0 time. So the sum of all of the balloons you pick up has to be more than your total course time. Absolutely wild. I've only managed to do it once. And it took a long time. That one I would say... Would that be the one I would say is the hardest? Hard is a very relative term. Like, hard is a very vague term, right? We were sort of discussing this fairly recently when we were talking on Myst, and what is the worst puzzle in Myst. And Larry Fontaneo, I think was the commenter, who said, well, it really depends on your definition of worst, to be honest. And I think Laserhawk said something similar as well. Because, you know, is a puzzle bad if it's hard to identify that it's even a puzzle at all? Is a puzzle bad if it's clear what you need to do, but it's difficult to execute on that? You know, is a puzzle bad if it's just not clear what you're supposed to be doing at all? I don't know. Certainly in the case of the puzzle we were talking about, Uru episode 11, it was, well, this puzzle's bad because kind of on all 3 points, right? Like, I mean, maybe that's worth a brief discussion. But first of all, we need to get ourselves going northeast now. We need to get ourselves going northeast. There we go. So it's a theory I've been working on, and I've not heard anyone sort of elucidate this in exact terms like this, but I kind of regard puzzles as having sort of three phases. You've got identification, understanding, and execution. Identification is the really, really basic, is there a puzzle here that needs solving, right? And sometimes, and you might think, well, that's kind of obvious, right? Like, and in games like Talos Principle, in games like A Monster's Exhibition Through Curious Exhibitions, in games like Baba Is You, identification is totally taken out of the hands of the player, because the levels are literally framed as levels that you have to complete, right? So there is no identification phase. You know that there's a puzzle that needs solving because you're on a level that you haven't solved yet, right? But sometimes identification is harder to spot, right? To identify that there is indeed a puzzle there. And that's... And whether a game has an identification phase or not, I would say is one of the trademark aspects of whether it's an environmental puzzler, like a Mist-like, or whether it's a... or whether it's a level-based puzzler, like Talos Principle. Understanding is... Now, this is a sense of personal preference. Understanding, I think, is the most interesting part of a puzzle's design. It's where you've identified that a puzzle exists, but you're trying to understand the mechanism of it, or the mechanics of it. You're trying to understand what you do to make it happen. So, the water gates in Serenia in Myst 4, a really big understanding puzzle. And there are some games that are, the Fire Marbles is a really big understanding puzzle in Riven. And there are some games that are very much built around the understanding aspect of the puzzles, right? And these are sometimes called Metroidbranias, which is a new-ish name to describe this genre, which I don't really agree with too much, because I think Metroidbrania, making reference to Metroid and Castlevania for puzzle games is not really, I don't think, what I would do. Yeah, we're heading to Needle Rock Island, which is actually this one. Yeah, which I wouldn't necessarily do that. I would literally just call them Mist-likes. Right? Like, I would say Rem is a Mist-like. I would say Obsidian is a Mist-like. Now, okay, when it's something like an explicit 2D exploration puzzle game like Animal Well, Metroidbrania is maybe more apt. You know, for a game like Rain World, which I've not played, but I understand it's kind of along similar lines, Metroidbrania may be more apt. But like Outer Wilds, for example, I would certainly not say Outer Wilds is a Metroidbrania. Outer Wilds is more like Riven than almost any other game that, like, again, this is like very much sort of in my opinion. If you go onto the Outer Wilds subreddit, there's a lot of people who quite often will ask for, recommendations for games which are a bit like Outer Wilds. And what they'll get recommended is things like Tunic, which I agree with. Tunic's a really great game. But Tunic plays a lot more like a Dark Soulsy sort of Zelda game with a bit of discovery to it. And obviously some good puzzle design. But that's not really what Outer Wilds is like, right? Outer Wilds is far, far closer to Riven than Tunic, in my opinion. But anyway, yeah, so there are whole games which centre themselves around the understanding phase of a puzzle. And then you've got the execution phase. Now, execution's an interesting phase because it's about the skill of the delivery of the puzzle solution. Okay? You might understand what you need to do, but actually it's the execution that you have to work out. Now, me personally, this is not something that I really enjoy a lot. So what kind of games are really big on execution? Well, it's actually a genre of games that's having a big resurgence at the moment with things like, I'm going to butcher the name, I think it's called something like Panaquin? It's the Rabbit's Burrows game. Can of Wormholes. To an extent, Baba Is You. Soccer band games, right? Soccer band games rarely, and there are exceptions, like Can of Wormholes has a big understanding element to it, but soccer band games often, it's actually a lot more the execution phase of the puzzle. You know what you need to do, you need to work out how to do it. Other non-video game puzzles that are very, very big on the execution phase. A Rubik's Cube. Very, very clear what the solution you are trying to get to on a Rubik's Cube is. Very unclear how to get it, right? Sliding block puzzles, you know, as we've said before earlier on this playthrough. If you know how to solve a sliding block puzzle, it is not a puzzle, right? It's simply an activity that you do. How long have I got left on the clock now? Oh shoot, I've only got 6 minutes left. Okay. Well, good thing we've only got 2 left, but we need to make sure we don't accidentally miss either of these islands. Yeah, 6 minutes left. What I got to remember though is that is still a third of my time left, right? And we've only got two more of these left to do. Oh, out of the way, Beetle! Out of the way! Now, yeah, okay, we're doing 2 squares up here. 2 squares up. Actually, if we're going 2 squares up. No, we can't do that fast travel, because we'll end up inside the thing. We've got to sail it. Yeah, fine. Good thing I remembered that, otherwise I'd have been well sad. Yeah, so those are the 3 phases of a puzzle design, I think. Identification, understanding, execution. And so to talk about things being harder or easier, it is a little bit more nuanced than that. And when I talked about the puzzle at the end of Uru being the worst puzzle in all of Myst, I think that puzzle fails on all 3 counts, right? I realise I'm waxing lyrical now about a totally different video game that many of you may not have even seen. But here we go. We're not going to stop for that. We're because I don't want to have to redo this. So yeah, you know, a lot of you might not. I think it's that one that we're heading towards, isn't it? Yeah, it is. It's going to be that one. Yeah. So the Uru Fireflies puzzle. Why do I think this fails on all 3 counts? Well, first of all, the identification, right? The age in question has a day-night cycle, which is tied to your actual system clock. So if you are playing it during a period of time where it happens to be night, you might not be able to see the things you need to be able to see that there is a puzzle at all. And indeed, we tripped up on that. Okay, right. So we really struggled to even identify that there was a puzzle there. Again, we're not going to talk to that guy because we've only got a couple of minutes left. We'll come back later. Or not, because really, you know, no need to be fun police about it. The understanding. Well, the only clue that's given to you for that age is to do with having a gift and giving a gift and receiving a gift. And that clue is present in a book in a different age and is very easily forgotten about. Now, admittedly, by the time you've done Kadish to Lisa, you'll probably be a little bit more attuned to making sure you try and jam those clues in somehow. But yeah, trying to understand that what you are even trying to do at all is bring the fireflies from one age into the other is maybe a bit of a leap, but to be fair, the understanding aspect of it was probably the least dubious. And then you've got the execution phase of it. It's a very tedious puzzle because it involves a lot of walking, and you can't run, you've got to walk. And if you touch the water, or if you run, or if you jump, then you lose the puzzle and you have to start again, and you're trying to manipulate physics objects without a grab button. You're sort of bumping your character model into these physics objects to get them to move into the correct spot. And yay! There we go. Some pieces of heart are harder to obtain than others. Sometimes you just get them in a treasure chart, sometimes you have to do a 20-minute side quest. There we go. Lovely, lovely. Swordsman, come see how healthy my forestry has become. Wow, I'm so happy. Thank you so much. Ah, brilliant, brilliant. And so that's the basis by which I say that that puzzle is the worst puzzle in all of Myst. I think it was hard to identify that a puzzle even needed solving at all. It was very ropey in terms of understanding what even needed to be done once you realised that something needed to be done. And, on top of all of that, even when you did have perfect understanding of exactly what you needed to do, it was still very tedious to do it, because if you made any mistakes in the execution, and the execution relied on you fiddling around with physics objects in an early 2000s game, you had to start again. So, yeah, worst puzzle. There we go. So circling right back round to Final Fantasy. And this, I think I have to say, is probably, I've been ranting now for about 25 minutes. I think this is actually maybe the most cohesive, this is probably the most coherent chat I've ever done, just monologuing on a recording. Probably because this side quest is not actually terribly difficult, and so I'm actually able to somewhat concentrate on what I'm talking about. But okay, we're gonna go about here. Thank you. So bringing it back round to Final Fantasy, in a similar way, which of the ultimate weapons is the hardest to get is a similar question to which puzzle is the worst in Myst, right? Like, because you could say that Whackers is the most tedious. You could say that Tidus's is the hardest to complete successfully. You could say that Lulu's is the most frustrating. There's a lot of different ways that you could measure that. And that, my friends, is rant over. I detected a scent wafting from this island that suggested to me there might be something of value here. So I sailed my tiny raft all this way from far, far away, but the high rock wall on the main island blocks my way. So it seems though I won't be able to get much further. What a disagreeable turn of events. However, my boy, that delivery bag of yours smells as if it might well be home to rare and unique items. If you have any curios that might be worthy of selling in a shop, might you trade them to me? Someday I'm going to open myself a shop, a huge shop. No, a mega superstore. I'm trying to find goods to sell, so you show me what you've got on you. Probably this one, right? Ah, why that's a sea flower. In that case, would you be interested in trading that for this town flower? I guess? Most agreeable. A measly 10 rupees. Thank you for your business. But hang on, wait. What about our merchant contract? Why, that's a town flower. Would you be interested in the sea flower? I'm confused. I thought we were going to trade up. Like, we give the sea flower, he gives us something new, and then we get a new merchant contract. Maybe I'm supposed to be going back to Windfall with these? To be fair, we could go back to Windfall. I'd be interested to have another go at the auction, to be honest. See if that piece of heart is available for sale again, because we've got a full... we got ourselves a full bag. Full bag of rupees. Did you see the seagulls just falling out of the sky there? There we go. Cruise up. Dun, 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 dun. Oh yes, and we also have this mystery of how are we supposed to catch this girl in the act? I don't know. This is definitely one of those games where, in the olden days, games like this were so ubiquitous. Games like this used to be so ubiquitous. Like, if you owned an N64, you owned Ocarina of Time. If you owned a GameCube, you very likely owned Wind Waker. It's kind of a little bit like what Minecraft is like nowadays. Because, you know, if you're under the age of about 15, or even if you're under the age of about 20, because Minecraft's been around for quite a while, it's been around for like 11 years or something. If you're under the age of 20 and you play video games, you have almost certainly played Minecraft. And let me think. When you came across a puzzle like this, where it's like, Well, I know that she's trying to break into the safe, but how do we prove that she's trying to break into the safe? And you got stuck, you would go to the schoolyard, you'd ask your friends, right? Because they all have the game. You'd be like, I found this side quest. And maybe no one else had found the side quest yet, but then they'd know the side quest existed. They'd all have their own ideas about how to solve it. And realistically, that's how you find all of the pieces of heart in the original Ocarina. Those games were not really designed to be like fully solvable by one person. That and Nintendo Power, of course, which was still going strong back in those days. You'd buy a magazine, and the magazine would tell you. How much time have we now got, do you reckon? These guys don't even have boats. Why are they bidding on a treasure chart? Okay, we've got 25 seconds still. How much will I bid? I'm interested in bidding 221. I want to see how much do I need to do to be able to shockwave people. And also how long shockwaves last. Isn't much time left. So shockwaves last about 10 seconds, I guess, then. Right, we're not going to make the same mistake as last time. There we go, let's do another 100. Nice. We should win that there. Okay, goes to TDF for the price of 328 rupees. To be fair, we got so much money. So much money. Okay, so do you reckon then... So we've suggested before that... maybe submarines appear where you need them to appear, right? So some treasure charts are clearly just in dungeons, and you are supposed to find them in the dungeons. But for the treasure charts that are just out and about in the world, we've theorised before that maybe some treasure charts are, you know, in submarines that actually follow you around, appear where they need to appear. Are some missable treasure charts actually in multiple locations to make it more likely that you find them, including, for example, the auction house, if you haven't found them yet? Maybe. Whilst we're here, let's take the Song of Passing. Right, left, down. Let's take the Song of Passing. And let's chat to this shop merchant about his contract. So I'm really surprised that Goron on Mother and Child Island didn't have anything else to trade with us. Yes, another fine day. Okay, I think we have to go and talk to him at the counter, maybe. Yeah, I know someone's been fiddling with your safe. I know who it is. Yeah, okay. I don't get how that I don't get how that quest is supposed to be working. Oh no, a little test. Why don't you just show me a picture of the first perfectly round, pale thing you can think of, or the moon, right? If you can show me something that's exactly the same as my favourite thing, then you win, and I'll acknowledge that you understand the inner workings of my heart and mind. Quite a simple little riddle, isn't it? Bring it to me. Well, we've had this before. How do we bring someone a picture? Hang on, hang on, hang on. Right. For her, it says show. For him, we never kind of got that option. We can see him in the auction house at night, for sure. Dunno. Let's try that, because in the auction house we can get right up to him. But yeah, he won't let us behind the counter during the day. No. So it can't be the pictograph then. Is there a different auction? Given that we happen to be here once again. Go on then. Second auction. We can do a second auction. What are we getting? What are we getting? Boo! Can I just leave? Can I just leave? Do you wish to quit? Yes. Time to go. Run along now. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, no. You guys bid over the joy pen. I can't believe I turned up to an auction for a joy pendant. Get out. Get on out of here. Get on out of here. Well, my friends, that's going to wrap us up for today's episode of Wind Waker. Thank you for listening to me ramble on about puzzle design and Final Fantasy X. But I want to know, what was your favourite Final Fantasy, and which was your favourite ultimate weapon to have to go and acquire? Is it collecting all of the items from Final Fantasy VIII? Is it beating the various bosses and solving all of the various puzzles in Final Fantasy VII? Is it trying to beat the whole of Final Fantasy IX in 12 hours like a mad lad? Let me know what your favourite Final Fantasy Ultimate Weapon quest was. For me though, I'm going to head off now. But if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It helps out a lot. Consider leaving a super thanks or joining the channel as a member to get your name in the credits. I will see you next time. Have a great rest of your day. Bye for now.